This guitar came to Paul Humeler, who owns Dream Guitars. Many of you will know him. Can you stand up and say hi? Paul deals in guitars. He buys, sells, wheels and deals, and comes across a lot of instruments. And when he told me that this one had come to him, it occurred to me that it would be a good idea to tell him that, at least insofar as the course of my life's work, this guitar represents a real turning point. And to the extent that my work has been a point of reference for others, this guitar is important for them also. So I persuaded Paul to not simply treat this as another commercial item, but to consider donating it to a museum. And he very generously agreed to do that. And this is going to the museum at the University of South Dakota that has a wonderful musical instrument collection. I appreciate that they were open to receiving this. I have to tell you that in the process of sort of researching this, I had conversations with a number of prestigious museums, and I failed to meet their basic requirement for including my work into their collections, which is that I'm still alive. They really need you to be dead before they you know, want to lavish any attention on you. So I'm dying as fast as I can, but short of that, I'm very happy to have found a home for this instrument. It'll be appreciated. To the extent that future scholars will be looking at the processes of development of the modern steel string guitar and come across my name will have to be attached to this particular project that I did back in 1980. So I'd like to introduce Paul, and I'd like to introduce Andre Larson, who is the curator of the museum and will be taking care of my baby, as it were. Would you guys like to come up here and just say hi?
Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. This was sort of a really special treat. You know, as a dealer, I do come across cool things. Sometimes they're 100 years old, sometimes they're 2 years old, and very different or unique. And Ervin, as many of you might know, is one of my favorite builders. I personally play a Somogyi, and it's one of my babies. And so this one came up, and I realized its origin, that being the first modified dreadnought, and I knew that we just had to do something special with it. And I'm real proud to be associated with it in any way. And Andre, I really thank you. Andre's been wonderful. He was more than willing to consider a live body, which is great. But he's been very easy and pleasant to deal with. He and his wife came all the way up here, and we truly appreciate it. So I'd like to introduce you to Andre Larson.
Thank you. The National Music Museum at the University of South Dakota has actually 14,500 musical instruments, dating from the 16th century to the present. And amongst them, the guitar has always been a very important aspect of that collection. We have one of two guitars that were made by Antonio Stradivari in Cremona, and we have a lot of other important 17th and 18th century Italian guitars and so forth. With the American instruments, we have a number of Angelicos, DeQuistos, as well as the Martins and the Gibsons. But this is going to be a particularly unique edition because it represents an individual maker as opposed to some of the others, which were major companies and factory productions and so forth. So it's with great pride that we accept the gift of this instrument. It will be exhibited in the gallery that we have for Great American Guitars, which incidentally also includes the complete workshop of Tequisto and Angelico, which we preserved, and that entire collection, the original tools, all their drawings, all that archival material is there and available for people to see and to use. So, excuse me. So with that, it's a great honor and a privilege to accept this instrument as one of the premier examples of a great American maker. And we look forward to having many of you make the pilgrimage one day to South Dakota, to Vermilion, South Dakota, in the southeast corner of the state, to see this instrument in its new home, along with the other wonderful guitars that can be found there. Thank you.
And I would also like to just quickly thank one more person. When I got this instrument from Daniel, if any of you know Daniel or know of his music from that period, he played with a double capo machine attached to the guitar with two capos which he could play with pedals and change key within the middle of songs. So the guitar was had traveled the world with Daniel. It was his primary instrument for quite a few years, decades. So we had to revive it a little bit, and that work was handed to Mr. Bill Tippin. Bill did a wonderful job. Did quite a bit of restoration work and brought it back to a life where hopefully now it'll be ready to go for decades more. So again, thanks Ervin for building us a great music.
I'd like to have Michael Watt come up here and play a little bit on this guitar. I wanted to amplify, before he starts, a little bit on one of the qualities the Windham Hill guitar players were looking for in the voice of the guitar. Microphones hear differently than ears do. They're sensitive to different frequency ranges of sound, and they deal with them, they integrate them differently. So as you all know, there are guitars that sound really good, might sound really good to you and me, but wouldn't record well. And there are guitars that would sound really not too good to you and me, but are very microphone friendly. So they would record quite well, but you wouldn't really want to hear them in a room because they didn't tickle the ear very well. So the Windham Hill guitar players were looking for something that had a more open voice that could please both the ear and the technicians and equipment in the recording studio. I was lucky in that I was able to find the right structural combination of elements to produce this guitar. Daniel really liked it. Those things are all described in the books in non-technical language. And that's really all I want to say before Michael comes up, except that in addition to all these things, I've brought some posters with me that show some really artistic work I've been trying lately. And they're available to anybody who would like. So thank you all.